Nashville, raising Nashville, raising Nashville, raising Nashville.
'Twas 5 days before Christmas when two dads sat down in a world that seemed to be upside down. They aren't talking about COVID or the president's war on democracy, but decided to have a discussion much more silly. They sat with their masks strapped to their face to have a debate about which movies were great. Was it Kevin or Alex or Kevin again that was the greatest hero of our generation?
Welcome to Raising Nashville. I'm Bucky.
I'm Juicebox.
And that, hands down, could be my favorite intro to this podcast I've ever heard.
Full disclosure, I decided to write that about 5 minutes before Bucky walked in the door. So, you know, if you want to get nitpicky, I rhymed down with down. So don't give me any shit about that. But there is some truth to it. If we sound a little different, we are both wearing masks. We're 6 feet apart. In the state that Tennessee is in, we are taking every single precaution that we can and still recording a podcast.
Absolutely. And I don't think masks are strange anymore. I thought they were strange for a while. I was thinking about this on the way over here. You know that 'Twas the Night Before Christmas? You know, that's what that reminded me of, that intro.
Yeah.
And he says, like, and Ma and her kerchief and me and my cap. And you've seen the books and everything. And this guy's like wearing this stocking cap that, you know, goes down half his back.
Right.
And it's very thin. Why did they do that? Like, what was the point of that cap? Did it keep your head warm? Did it, I mean, it just seems like it would get in the way when you're sleeping and you're rolling over and it like gets caught around you.
Oh, you're talking about just like a specific sleeping cap.
A sleeping cap.
I don't understand why anybody would wear a cap while you're asleep. I don't
Makes no
understand anything about
sense.
that. I guess it was just a lot colder back in the day.
Well, once again, welcome to Raising Nashville. This week, we have been talking about this for a while. Initially, this set out to be a battle or potentially the end of Juicebox and I's friendship. Because we've been talking about this. We've had debates. I know Juicebox, one of his favorite movies ever is Home Alone.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite Christmas movie.
And I have come to battle in the last couple of years because a few years back I saw Home Alone 3 and I was like, man, this could take on Home Alone. Like, and there are reasons why. And I knew Juicebox had never seen 3.
No, I didn't even know it existed until like recently.
Yes. And not only is there a 3, there is a 4. And there is something called Home Alone Hollywood Heist. And no, not Hollywood, Holiday Heist makes a little bit more sense. And if you're here to catch us talking about Holiday Heist, this is the wrong podcast for you. But we are going to do something special today and get into, we both watched Home Alone 3 and 4. Yes, they exist. They exist on HBO. Like, that blew my mind when I found that out when we were going to watch these movies.
Yeah, HBO, it's like Disney, I guess. The HBO, you know, Disney bought up a bunch of shit, so they have everything on their streaming thing, and now HBO or Time Warner or whoever, AOL, that doesn't even exist anymore. AT&T or whoever owns it all, you know, they just bought up all this shit, so there's so much random stuff on there. We can talk about it a little bit more, but I want to just go ahead and say right off the bat that I don't think 4 and 5 are Home Alone movies. I think they just copied a premise. I don't think they even belong in the same category as the first 3 movies.
Well, let's talk about that, because initially what was going to happen on this podcast is I was going to bring my argument why 3 and 4 are better than 1 and 2. And we were going to go versus on that.
And I was just sitting back, rubbing my hands together, waiting to have that debate.
So all full disclosure, I watched 4 last night, and it's not fair to go those 2 versus those 1 and 2 versus 3 and 4. I will retain the argument that 3 could take on 1 or 2 hands down. But 4, what was that? I mean, what was Home Alone 4?
I told Bucky, I was texting Bucky like throughout watching it, and it was just like, disbelief. I think I said this movie is a complete mess. I don't even know what's going on. This might be the worst movie I've ever watched. I'm gonna maybe stand by that.
And unless you hate Christmas or have never seen a movie in your life, you know what Home Alone 1 and 2 are. You know the story of Kevin and the forgetful parents and the trip through the streets of New York and Marv and Harry and all of the crazy stuff that Macaulay Culkin gets into.
Yep.
So you know that. You've seen those movies hundreds of times, especially this time of year. But I bet most of you out there have not seen Home Alone 3, and I guarantee you an even lower percentage has seen Home Alone 4. But what I made Juicebox do this week is watch Home Alone 3 and 4 to get his take on it. If you haven't seen it, Home Alone 3, John Hughes production. So still in that original realm.
He also wrote it. He wrote Home Alone 3.
Okay. Did he write 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Okay. So still in that John Hughes realm, so it still holds up, in my opinion, on paper with 1 and 2 so far. Now, this is where it gets a little weird. So the opening scene is about the Chinese and another accented country. I couldn't even tell what country that was.
I think that dude was Australian or something like that. I don't know, but I had to double check that I was watching the correct movie at the beginning.
Yes. I mean, it opens like an 80s suspense film.
Yeah, I wrote down, is this Mission Impossible? But then, Mission Impossible is actually way more high-tech than this movie.
You find out it's about a chip, and this chip can blow up a city if it's put in a rocket, and it's got real serious right off the bat.
International terrorists, and also international thief ring or something like that.
Yeah.
We're supposed to believe that this group of people is some big-time international thieves.
They're like diamond thieves. So once we get past this opening scene, Home Alone starts, basically.
Right.
And you find out that, there's this kid named Alex this time. Kind of not same premise, same type of big house.
Same premise.
Family's kind of the same.
It's more or less same premise. He lives in a similar house, I feel like, in a similar neighborhood. They still live in Chicago,
Yeah.
but it's not Kevin.
And his sister is Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, and she is in the movie for about 5 minutes, and thank God, because she is her acting is terrible. Actually, everybody's acting except for maybe the main kid is terrible.
I'm going to have to disagree because Haviland Morris is in this movie. You might remember her in 16 Candles. I remember her as in Gremlins 2. She was like the co-worker of the main character in Gremlins 2, and she was trying to hit on him, but he had the girlfriend, Phoebe Cates. And then Alexander Krupa plays the bad guy. I mean, to me, he seems like he's the bad guy in a lot of C movies, maybe. So I've got Behind Enemy Lines.
Was Owen Wilson in that movie?
I don't think so. Italian Job, Eraser, that classic Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Oh, yeah.
He plays the bad guy in quite a bit. So I don't think the acting is that bad.
Dude, I feel like we were not watching the same movie.
Okay, so, but the kid, this Alex kid, you find out in the beginning he has chicken pox. I'm not relating this in any one way or another, but to me, this kid who plays Alex is more tolerable than Macaulay Culkin. It's just he's pretty cool little actor, for a little kid movie.
See, I don't know. I don't know how to have a debate about that because that's just a matter of preference.
I feel like if he was the same age in the early 90s, he could have starred in Little Rascals.
I mean, he was definitely the highlight of the entire movie.
Okay.
I'll give you that. And also he was up for some Young Actors Award or something for this movie.
Yeah.
The only positive thing that this movie was nominated for.
So somehow this chip ends up with Kevin because of a mishap in an airport, and the chip ends up in a remote control car. He accepts that for shoveling some snow. And then, we kind of get into the movie where the four other accent group that is trying to, get this chip comes after Kevin, and then it's going to turn into a Home Alone movie, right? With a bunch of traps and, stuff like that.
Let me just say, his name is not Kevin.
Or sorry, Alex.
It's Alex.
Sorry, Alex. So without just getting into the entire movie, I want to talk about this remote control car because there is a specific scene in this movie where the robbers are trying to get into Kevin's house, or they're getting into the houses in the neighborhood, and he's trying to spy on them. And he's got this remote control car with a video camera attached to it,
which is transmitting a crystal clear signal back to his house somehow, like through some sort of TV antenna thing that he hooks up to it.
The antenna is like 4 inches long, and it's bent to the side, so it can't be that great. But this remote control car literally can drive as fast as a real car and navigate an entire neighborhood from one house.
Oh yeah. It's like
in other houses.
It's easily a over 1 mile radius for the range for this car. And then when it goes out of the range, all he has to do is walk over to the window, and then it's like just perfectly working again.
And my favorite part about that car is it's referenced later on to where somebody said it might have been broke or something like that. And there was a line where Alex says, well, it's not that expensive. And I'm like, what? That's got to be the most expensive RC car in the history of RC cars.
Right. I was so confused because like at the beginning, I didn't know if it was like an actual product, because it seemed like they were trying to do some product placement at the beginning. They showed the box like very prominently. I was like, was this a real thing in 1997? But no, there's no way it could have been.
It jumped an alley over a minivan. Like, I mean, this is the greatest remote control car in the history.
Yeah, not to mention this 8-year-old kid is unbelievable at driving it. A car that he just got. Like, he is evading everybody. Like, it is insane.
You know what a theme I've noticed through all 4 movies, I think, is a telescope. I think there's a telescope in every single movie, right?
Yeah.
And that's a random thought. So back to Home Alone 3, I think the car scene made the whole thing. Obviously, I think there's some better traps in Home Alone 3 and more creative. I mean, I guess you have to get it. If you're John Hughes, you have to go bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Well, that's the thing I wrote down. Like, every single movie is just an increase of the violence of the traps and how much they destroy his own house. Because he's constantly just destroying his own house in this movie. Well, in all the movies, but in this one, like...
The violence is on, like, 11.
It was like that in the early ones, you know, because I was rewatching. Full disclosure, I watched Home Alone 2 through 5 for this effing podcast.
Thank you.
In the past 24 hours. So even in 2, like, Kevin's throwing bricks off like a 5-story building and hitting him directly in the face. So, I mean, there's still a high level of violence in this, but it's a little more cartoony, I guess, in this.
But the kid creates an electric chair. I mean, that would have killed somebody.
Yeah.
That lawnmower that fell off the, like, upper shelf or whatever and cut the guy. I mean...
Yeah, when that happened, I was like, how are they going to play this? It somehow only cut his hair, but it was just like, yeah, this is a lawnmower falling into this man's face. I've seen Leprechaun. I know how what happens.
And this kid is like a 20-year veteran architect on trapdoors, because there's so many trapdoors in this place. I was blown away. There's a lot of glue. It's kind of odd. Like, they used a lot of glue in these sequences.
Yeah.
Like when he sticks his hands in the buckets of glue, or she reaches over the fence and puts her hand in the glue. I didn't get the glue.
Kid has a ton of glue around the house for some reason.
I mean, his dad must sell glue or something.
His dad had to go away on some business trip. There's always been this debate about what Kevin's dad does, I feel like, throughout these movies. And it's like never...
It's shady.
It's never totally been established until 4, actually, but...
Here's my argument. I've already got it. Cuter kid, better traps, right? The remote control car, which is the baddest thing I'll ever see on film. Mm-hmm. And finally, this Alex kid took on 4 people instead of 2. So automatically better than Macaulay Culkin. My question, I wrote this down. Do you think Alex saw Home Alone 1 and 2? Or he just had this in him?
Maybe he watched it right beforehand or something. Because, I mean, he would have... this.
It's like
he was born when, like, the first one came out. Like, because this came out in 97, which means it was probably shot in 96. He was, like, 8 years old or 7 years old at the time. So, you know, maybe he watched it.
In the movie, though, like, the character Alex, let's say, how did these kids just know these traps? Like, what prepares them for this? What in their life is coming at them to where they need to know how to make an electric chair? Or, they need to know how to rig a lawnmower to almost cut somebody's head off. Like,
Right.
what has happened in this kid's life? That's
Right.
what concerns me.
That is a very good point. He does know way too much about making traps that could kill people. Is it just
Exactly.
because he has an older brother? Like he has to fend off his buzz, so that's like, or his buzz. whatever his
Okay,
kid's name is.
potentially. I didn't think about that. But that's some harsh violence even for your brother.
Yeah.
And like the worst thing that your brother's ever done to you is what? Punch you in the arm?
Yeah.
Or did he unleash a spider on him one time? No, that was I'm getting my Home Alones confused. All right, speaking of that, confusing is a great word to introduce the next segment of this podcast, which is us covering Home Alone 4. And I have to say, what the F was that?
First off, Kevin's mom and dad are divorced.
Yeah.
They're divorced. First off, it's back to Kevin McAllister again.
Yes.
It's back to Kevin McAllister. Completely different family, completely different people. His parents are divorced. It's Christmas time. They say that they have been divorced for 8 months.
Yep.
They also say that Kevin is now 9. He was 8 in the first one. So there's somehow been 3 Christmases and he has only aged 1 year in that time. And also his dad is, I guess, after they got back from New York and he had been left home alone
Twice.
I guess that we're just led to believe that the dad was just like, I'm fucking out of here. Fuck this.
That's a great way to look at it. Hey, Catherine O'Hara, you obviously can't keep up with our children. I think we need to split.
I mean, he wasn't a great parent either. Let's be honest. Like, it wasn't all on Catherine O'Hara. Like, he was doing nothing. So that's one thing I want to say. Just from the get-go, they make Kevin's dad look like a piece of shit.
Really do.
Like, he is the worst. He comes into the family to tell his wife that he's going to get engaged as soon as their divorce is finalized. As soon as it's finalized.
When it came to the opening of this movie, it probably took me 15 minutes, and I asked my 10-year-old, is this, like, for real, Kevin? And, like, this is the same story? And he was like, I don't know, I'm confused too. And then when Marv came in, or the younger, like, son of Marv, like, it's a French, what's the guy's name?
French Stewart,
right? Plays Marv, and we were like, okay, I guess this is the same story. Like, no Harry, and he explains that.
Yeah, so I was confused. Like, did he break out of jail again, or was he released from jail? Because this would be a person that was arrested for serial burglary, broke out of prison, tried to kill a kid, robbed a toy store, was arrested again, and we're led to believe that he is out of jail 8 months later.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fully on board with thinking that too many people are in prison. Like, but come on, dude.
Crazy sequence.
This guy has tried to murder a kid several times and constantly robs places.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I watched this movie in 2 parts, like Juicebox has before. I watched it last night, and then I woke up this morning and watched it again.
Yeah.
I've got a surprise for you, or a surprise that I just read on the notes that I made on this movie, because I was a little loose, so to speak, and I was writing things. I want to read you just my first couple of notes here. Home Alone 4 opens with divorce. Come on. And then I say, why is his name Kevin? And then I say, major divorce overtones, older sibling bullying. What? His brother's name is Buzz? Fuck, this is a sequel. And then I put, Robert is Marv, damn it. And then that was it. That's all I saw last night.
So you saw the first 5 minutes?
So I figured out that it was a sequel, and I was a little bit upset. Because none of these people look like the same people.
No, not at all.
Like, not even close.
No.
They didn't even try. They put Scarlett Johansson in the movie. Like, wait a minute, that was the last one.
Yeah, she was in the third one. There's like nobody. Well, I take that back. I think the guy that plays the butler, I feel I've seen that guy in some other
that guy
stuff
was
before.
The butler
besides
in
for
Mr. Deeds.
Okay.
So
and then French Stewart, which is in that Third Rock.
I was
show.
surprised to see Joanna Goings in this movie. I think she's hot.
I don't know who that is.
So she's been in like House of Cards. She was in Mad Men, I think, and she was in a couple of other things.
Oh, okay. She's the lady that plays the rich woman that the dad is getting married to.
Yes, in the stepmom.
Okay.
I wrote her stepmom. Dad, I wrote TV detective, also Peter McAllister, question mark. He, divorces his family and then hooks up with this chick who has like everything, like $1 billion. She's like Jeff Bezos of women.
Yeah,
like, what is this house? And like, what?
She has a smart home in 2002, which I thought was pretty. I mean, I guess people have been thinking about that forever, but this was a pretty dang accurate representation of what a smart house can be.
You still have to hold a remote though.
Yeah,
that was the odd thing. You can't just talk to your house. You have to talk to a remote. And then, craziness ensues. I mean, we'll tell you about the movie. It's about, she was expecting like the Prince of Wales or something to come to her house, which is another like, what? This is a Home Alone movie?
What in the fuck?
Basically, her maid is in on it, and they're trying to kidnap the Prince of Wales using young Marv and, his wife now.
It's not even young Marv. That's what I don't like. It's just...
It's supposed to be the same Marv.
Yeah, the same Marv like 8 months later.
Which is...
And there's one point in the movie where like Marv is like attacking him and like his family's there or some. Maybe it's towards the end, and Kevin's like, "Oh, that's Marv. Haven't I ever told you about him?" It's like, how do your parents not know about Marv? The dude broke into your house and tried to kill you in New York. How do your parents not know who this guy is? Like, what this movie is? It was so terrible. And you can keep going. They had different storylines, which there were multiple storylines because I think the stepmom wanted to get rid of Kevin like the whole time. So when she was coming back with the Prince of Wales, he said, "Do you have any children there?" And she said no. So her intentions were to get rid of that kid. Then you've got her maid that's trying to steal this Prince of Wales using these other two people. Then you've got there was so much going on. I was very confused because initially you thought the butler was in on it. Right.
Then you find out he's not in on it. It was all over the place.
The whole thing was a mess. But like beyond just the story and the acting and everything, like the way it was shot, it's a definite, like you can tell a movie that was shot for the theater and a movie that is shot for TV because the quality is so much worse than even Home Alone 3. Like there are scenes, the scene where they're decorating the Christmas tree.
Oh,
dude, that just looked like somebody would have had like shot that with a cell phone or just had like a camcorder. And it wasn't like even intentionally to be like that. It wasn't like they were filming themselves or anything. It was just like, oh, here's this Christmas tree and here's some decorations. Let's just shoot you guys decorating the tree in a funny way.
It's like a montage. It had music behind it. And to me, it looked like a Saturday Night Live skit where they don't care. I mean, they're just throwing this stuff on this Christmas tree, like just throwing it at the tree.
Yeah.
Like ornaments are going to hang themselves. Like it was so strange.
I wrote a note there that just says, "Why am I doing this to myself?" Because I wasn't quite sure how I was even going to make it through the movie at that point. It just looks so incredibly low budget. It's, I mean, it's just like I said, the drop off between 3, which I didn't even think was good, and 4 is, I mean, 3 looks like The Godfather compared to this.
Yes. And then it ends with the dad just completely forgetting about the last 8 months of his divorce.
Right.
And on the spot in front of people who run another country who just got out of the limo, and all of a sudden, my wife looked at me and she was like, "Should you be doing this in front of other people?"
Right.
I mean, he's just unleashes the fact that he does not love this woman he's been with and lives in her house. And he's just going to get back with his wife. And his wife is just like, "All right, cool."
Thank you. I wrote notes about that too. That bothered me so much. It just further showed how much of a piece of shit he is, because not only does he just like shit on the woman that he left his wife for, basically, like you said, in front of everybody, in front of rulers of a foreign country.
Yeah.
And his whole family. His wife is just like, "Yeah, come on back home." It's like, are you fucking sick? Like, have some goddamn self-esteem, lady. Like, this dude has been a fucking asshole for the past 8 months. Like,
he just gets a pass because it's Christmas all the time.
And then Kevin has some last little dig, like I can't even remember what it was, but he had some last little thing like, oh, he made the butler quit on the lady or whatever, so she had nobody left.
Well, where's the butler going to go? Like, he doesn't have a job now. Is he going to go to the McAllisters in Chicago and be their butler? Like, that was a whim to me, too. Like, you've got to think about it a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie was just unbelievable on so many levels. And that was the major cap at the end, was that entire breakup, divorce, back together, all that stuff was incredible.
Dude, yeah, it bothered that movie. This movie bothered me on so many levels. Like I said, the product, like as a person that works in like video, like just watching how they shot the stuff too, like the lighting, like everything about this movie just bothered me so immensely.
So if you haven't seen it, get out there and watch it, man. It could be worth your time. Especially if you like watching train wrecks, because I do. I enjoy watching movies like that because I just think it's so funny.
I mean, I'll give you that. It is a hell of a train wreck of a movie. Like, and you just, I don't know. We should have figured out a way to like turn it into a drinking game or something, like, because
sure.
One thing I did note, one thing I wanted, a couple quick notes about it. In the third and fourth one, they had the fake leg prank. Do you remember, like, the fake legs were hanging from the ceiling, and one of them are hanging, like, from the attic in number 3, and they were, like, under the bed in this one? Like, the exact same thing. Like, they just recycled so many of the jokes and so many of just, I don't know.
To me, this one wasn't necessarily about the traps like it has been in the first 3, right? It wasn't him setting, tons of booby traps. He was just using what he had.
I think it was because they didn't have the budget to probably set those up. One last note I made that would just bother me on the technical side of it is, like, this movie was obviously shot like in the summertime. Like, it's not, they digitally made all the grass and trees look brown, but like trees don't just look brown in the wintertime. They don't have leaves. So it was just like, if you look at it.
Dang, you're picking apart landscaping.
I'm sorry, man. Like, this movie was so terrible to me, and like it offended me on multiple levels.
Yeah, especially the very end when that remote of your smart home can also make the world around you snow.
Yeah.
Like, it was the strangest ending. Okay, so back to our argument. Yep. After talking about 4, there's no way that I can pair up 3 and 4. You have to give me a pass on this one. I will admit to you that 1 and 2 are classic, timeless, and will always be, what everybody knows. But give 3 and 4 a chance. Like, you might find something that you're looking for in a Christmas movie.
Well, I will say, in defense of number 3, Roger Ebert gave this movie a 3 out of 4 stars or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he said that it was better than the first 2 Home Alones, and it was a fresh take on the movie or something like that.
The genre?
Which just leads me to believe, like, did he see the first 2? Does he have some weird vendetta against, like, Chris Columbus or, like, Macaulay Culkin or something?
Come on, Roger Ebert. He sees it like I saw it.
Okay.
3 is better.
Okay, well, let me just say that the public did not agree with either one of you guys. Okay. Because Home Alone 1, off a budget of $18 million, ended up making $285 million. Okay. Home Alone 2, off of I'm sorry, I don't have the budget was similar for that one, maybe a little bit more expensive. It made $358 million worldwide. Home Alone 3, with a budget of $32 million, grossed worldwide $30 million.
Wait, so it lost $2 million.
So it lost $2 million.
Okay.
So, I mean, just going off, box office alone, I'm going to say that the first 2 win. I'm also going to say that Home Alone 3 has a 4.2 on Rotten Tomato or on IMDb. So,
and 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. But different people, it's different strokes, man. People like what they like.
You're right.
But I would suggest, this is just me pleading to you, watch Home Alone 3 and decide for yourself. We didn't today on this podcast cover Home Alone 5, which is called Holiday Heist, and another reason we got interested in this was because there is a Home Alone 6 in production, and it is billed as going to be the best Home Alone movie we've ever seen. I think my 10-year-old thinks that everybody from every Home Alone movie is going to be in it.
It's going to be like the Into the Spider-Verse version of Home Alone.
That's it. It's just old Macaulay Culkin just smoking cigs out back. They introduced probably new characters, but they've got, everybody. Catherine O'Hara's back. It's just...
I mean, that would be great for a lot of the people that have starred in some of these sequels because aside from Scarlett Johansson, a lot of them aren't really working that much anymore.
No, they need the money.
Playing the Kevin character is like a curse, I feel like. Alex character.
That could be true because you're a child actor at that point. You're never going to break from that.
Right.
Well, we hope you've had fun listening to us ramble about, two incredibly
mediocre sequels to the two great Christmas movies.
I tried to look this up. Do you know any threes that were better than the first twos?
Thor Ragnarok.
Damn, you got me. Well, wherever you are, we thank you for listening this week. We hope you've enjoyed another episode of Raising Nashville. If you have a like button near you, smash that thing.
Yeah.
Sorry we did not have time for a CBD ad today. Merry Christmas, guys. We'll see you next week.
I'm home alone, so I'm all on my own. You can try to break it, but I'm gonna defend it, yeah. I'm home alone. Come on, I dare you to try. 'Cause I got a whole lot and all the traps waiting inside. Have you ever found yourself home alone in the freezing cold with the ice and snow? I wish for them all to go. Then I woke up, found I was on my own. Not bad at first, I was in the zone. Then I saw his tooth and was followed home. When I overheard, I was undeterred. Tried to scare him off, but it didn't work. Got smart, realized what I had to do. Be a man with a plan if they ever break through. Got paint, got glue, got fire, got ice, got a gun, got glass, got a tarantula.